Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? We are back to finish up the discussion of whether or not certain cards could come back off the ban list and be healthy in the Dragon Ball Super card game. So if you're new here, make sure to subscribe, hit that bell so you never miss a video, and let's jump right on in where we left off. That is with Master Roshi Kamehameha Origins. And this card was banned at a time where it really baffled a lot of people because it just didn't need to be banned. Green wasn't doing all that well, but the reason behind the ban of this card was that so people could not just recycle Dormant Potential Unleashed and just, floodgate turn after turn after turn for free, although it did come at a somewhat steep discard cost. But basically, you would pitch Master Roshi, pay the 1 additional energy, and then because Dormant was free, you'd be able to use that pretty effectively after using the Roshi to recycle it. So I don't think this card should come back, not because it's like overly insane or would be overly insane, although it could be, especially with the new introduction of Unleashing Awakened Rage. I don't think this card should come back. However, I think this raises a discussion that all these different decks that can recycle super combos probably need to be checked in some way. Again, not that they're overtaking the meta or anything, but it's just a game-breaking mechanic that I don't think is healthy overall. So that would definitely be the green Gogeta BR super combo that's able to be picked up by Vegeta preparing to battle. That's the Expert 21 deck that's able to recycle Bionic Blitz from the drop to the energy back to the hand. And of course, my favorite deck of all time, Bulma. We got to go ahead and stop that leader from being able to pick up 10 super combos per game. So that's my spiel about that. Moving along, Father, Son, Kamehameha, Goku, and Gohan definitely needs to just stay banned. Any deck that has like turn 1 kill potential, like your opponent having 1 energy, definitely not okay. Then we have Pan Great Ape Whisper. So this card checks a lot of boxes. It's free play, which inherently as a free 15k blocker is not the worst thing, but you are able to restand any of your yellow battle cards, which can be a little bit strong depending on the boss card. And with how easy this card is to play, you would think it's like some sort of convoluted combo, but it's really not. Whenever you get Awakened, you just play the card for free and then you restand whatever insane threat you have. Just puts on a bit too much aggression, and with the wrong battle cards could be a little bit problematic. So yeah, this card should probably stay banned. Beerus Godly Majesty, free play off being discarded by effects. Yeah, I mean, like I said, a free 15k is not exactly what it used to be, but there are so many cards nowadays that this would synergize well with, even in non-green decks. So yeah, this card probably has to remain banned. Mecha Frieza Resurrected Monarch. What's so hilarious is this is a reboot leader, and the reboot leaders are supposed to be more balanced than the original leaders they were modeled after, but this one's banned. The old one is just errated. It's kind of interesting to think about whether or not this deck or this leader would be that good in the modern era. Of course, you have like super powerful yellow extra cards, but I feel like with a leader that pretty much has to go on to 4 life and then take life consequently after that, it might be a little bit rough against the modern scope of aggro we have now. So I don't know. I almost want to say let's just take this off the ban list and see what happens. That might be an insane take, but that's just my opinion. I don't know how it would stack up to these current yellow decks like Golden Frieza, Trunks Vegeta, and Majin Vegeta that have really strong main deck engines. This leader doesn't really have much of an engine. It just uses generic yellow cards well. Although I guess there is a problem there with Universe 9 Assemble. Like both these cards, this leader and that card, cannot exist in the same game at the same time. So I guess maybe you'd have to go back and ban U9 Assemble. That combination together might be a little too powerful. Then we have Goku, Power of Legend. Thank goodness this card's banned, because with the current Gohan deck from set 21, this card would probably be very ridiculous. But yeah, basically when you make your opponent pitch a card, you could free play this guy. It's a 15 carry critical, and you're just continuing that like resource denial onslaught. And this card was made like really stupid with decks like Cell Surge and the like. So yeah, probably just better off staying banned, just so that no D-Gen hand control decks arise out of it. Bardock the Resolute, another free play card ban. I mean, this is pretty much identical to Goku Power of Legend, but this basically keeps aggro decks at bay, reducing a free 15k double strike that basically restands when your opponent activates a counter. If this card costed energy, that effect would probably be more fine. We've seen many effects like that in the past, but the fact that it's for free is definitely not super healthy. Mercenary Tao, Unequaled Assassin, free 15k critical. Again, this card alone in a vacuum, not that insane seeming, but when you pair it with everything else that your current red deck is doing, that's when it gets a little bit absurd. So yeah, just as like the icing on the cake, so to speak, this card should definitely not be around. Belmont, Double Devastation. Why was this card banned? Well, for a multitude of reasons. Obviously, the fact that it is a free play 20k, but also it allows you to recycle, or not recycle, but it allows you to continue to use unique cards that were not meant to be played more than once per turn, because Belmont would sacrifice them to the drop area and they would no longer be on the board, so you could replay any unique card that you happen to be able to play. Because of that unintended synergy, Belmont should probably stay on the ban list. Violet Rush Bojack. Oh man, I could talk about this for hours. Like, the fact that this card was banned and that the blue-yellow Zamasu counterplay was errated on the same ban list was way too big of a hit to blue-yellow as a whole, because after that it pretty much became unplayable. So I kind of wish they would give blue-yellow one or the other. Either give them the Zamasu counterplay and give it its unerrated version, because I don't think inherently counterplaying units like that was too broken. You just had to reduce the overall power of blue-yellow so that other things could beat it. And yes, with Violet Rush Bojack and with Zamasu together, it was too powerful. But if you're going to ban Bojack, give it unerrated Zamasu or errated Zamasu and leave Bojack the way it was. I almost want to say this card can come back, because blue-yellow just doesn't do anything and hasn't done anything since this card was banned. So I would personally think it'd be okay to come back just as like a trial run. Buu, Shrouded in Mystery. This card is very divisive, because on one hand, it's like if a game goes to turn 6, it should probably just be about wrapped up right around then. But on the other hand, this card saying your opponent can pretty much not interact with it in any way unless you have some sort of counterplay that can do something to it. Definitely not the most fun gameplay experience out there. So if this card were to come back, it would probably need some sort of nerfing errata, like maybe a 7 energy cost, or maybe, I don't know, blanketing less effects than it does, like maybe allow for extra card effects and just not battle card effects, or maybe vice versa. That might be actually pretty fair if you just don't allow for extra card activations, because then it would actually be a pretty decent answer to really annoying control decks. But I don't know, just my opinion. Otherwise, if there's no errata, probably has to stay banned. Unrelenting Assault Trunks. So this card basically allowed for almost infinite resources in Gogeta Xeno, whereas if it was warped from the battle area or deck, it would go right to your hand. So in Gogeta Xeno, you mill the top 5 cards of your deck to the warp, and then if you hit this card, it's just a free draw one, basically, and then a reusable overwhelm turn after turn after turn. So for that reason, in that specific deck, this card was a little bit problematic. Obviously, Gogeta Xeno is not playable right now, so if we don't unban or unlimit anything for Gogeta Xeno, I honestly don't see any reason why this card couldn't come back. But if they do plan to support Gogeta Xeno or any other decks that will mill to the warp in the future, then yeah, this card probably just has to stay banned. Cell Surge, 110% needs to stay banned. And I wish as a whole they would just stop printing strong leaders that don't have to attack to gain advantage, because in this game it can be super toxic to like stall your opponent out and just not progress the game state while you're accumulating whatever it is your win condition is. So yeah, this leader, absolutely absurd. Bardock, Fighting Against Fate. So we got back Secret ID, but we did not get back Bardock. And the reason for that probably is just to kind of curtail aggro, because a free 25k dual attacker, for as vanilla as it might seem, is actually extremely powerful. I almost wonder, though, how many decks would actually play Fighting Against Fate instead of Secret ID, just because of, like, token negates and how important board control is. Like, if you added some super fast, like, Blitz kill deck, Fighting Against Fate would probably be the better overwhelm, just to get more attacks and more damage through. I almost want to say this card could come back. I don't know if that would be a little bit too blasphemous, though, just because I feel like the game has progressed to a point where this card could be fine. But then again, like, when you account for everything your opponent can do, and you have the appropriate defenses to stop that, and then your opponent drops a free 25k dual attack on you, it's definitely super unexpected and super frustrating. But I will say the fact that Champa and Isekai are now banned, preventing this card from ever being able to double strike on one of its 2 swings, that definitely makes it a bit more balanced. I don't know, just for the chaos aspect of myself. Let's bring this card back. We have SS3 Gogeta, Marvelous Might. Now, this card was a super unexpected hit to Gogeta Xeno. They really went ham and, like, kind of overboard with hitting Gogeta Xeno when they did all these bans and limits. But yeah, this card was pretty good in that you can bring out your respective 1-drop silver bullets, or just attackers that allowed you to take life so you can get Awakened. This card was very flexible, and the fact that it had a barrier made it very safe as well, because when you're up against an aggro deck, like, barrier removal usually costs a bit more than like other forms of removal. So up against an aggro deck that has barrier, it's much harder to get their stuff off the board, because you just don't have the time to really establish those cards or use as effects that actually kill barrier, if that makes sense. So, like, I've just been saying, whenever it comes to a Gogeta Xeno card that was hit specifically to target that deck, give them something back, whether it's the Unrelenting Assault Trunks or maybe thwarting back to 4, or maybe just this card back to 4. Like, give them one of those things, probably not all of them or 2 of them, in my opinion. Piano Reign of Terror. This card's absolutely insane. For a 1-drop that does not have Deflect or Barrier, this card was such a menace because, you know, on turns 1 and 2, it is somewhat difficult to get rid of a 1-drop until the game progresses a bit further. So this card led to so many draws for King Piccolo because you could draw via its effect on both players' turns. So yeah, if you bring Drum back, like I suggested in a previous video, this card probably has to stay banned. King Piccolo New Ruler, red should not have an additional Overwhelm, so yeah, this card can definitely just stay banned. Son Goku Heartfelt Plea. Now, with this card, technically, any deck has an additional quote-unquote Overwhelm as long as they have a red battle card to sacrifice. And we saw this card played in non-red decks. People played it in Dark Broly because there was a red Dark Broly you would evolve into and whatnot. And yeah, this card can see play in other decks like that happen to splash like maybe a multicolored card or some sort of like generic red boss if that ever exists. But yeah, free 30k that either draws you to or crits an opponent's life, and it's got triple strike on top. Probably not the most healthy thing for the game. Hey, Shenron, banned so recently, definitely needs to stay banned. This card was super degenerate, giving those Shenrons critical on top of their double strikes and triple strikes. Goku Digging Deep, a very unexpected hit to SS4 Gogeta, but definitely a very welcome one because it basically just halted that deck's defensive capabilities, which did put a good damper on the deck in terms of power level, but it still ended up being way too strong, so now the leader is just banned, and yeah, this card, I mean, could come back since the leader is banned, I guess. They might reprint or like reboot an SS4 Gogeta leader to hopefully be way more balanced and way less good. And in that case, I mean, I can see this card coming back and hopefully being a decent tech card for that hopefully balanced rebooted leader. Godsling Technique Trunks. For how much less unisons are seeing play nowadays, I mean, blue unisons are probably some of the more popular ones. And this card just being an immediate free answer to any non-deflect card, definitely not super healthy for the game, especially now with a lot of SCRs not having deflect. It is cool that we have to find more niche answers instead of just like all of blue shutting them down, right? Like if we didn't have, or if we did have this card in the format, I wonder if cards like Gohan Beast and Golden Cooler would even be playable in that respect. And then we have the Double Strike Granters. This was such an interesting choice by Bandai because for the longest time, these were staples of the game. Like, not every single deck played them, but they were, like, mid-ranges game enders, and now they're banned. And honestly, I like the game a whole lot more without them. Not that I hated the game with these cards, but just knowing, like, how much damage a card can put out just from seeing it on the board and not having to worry about the Double Strike Granter is definitely a very nice, you know, quality life improvement for the game. Then we have the Crimson Goku leader. Yeah, definitely needs to just stay banned. It's just way too good of a generic blue leader. Dirty Burst. This was also an interesting one because typically we like having answer cards, but Dirty Burst was a little bit too polarizing in that it just completely shut down certain cards, and maybe it's just pointless to talk about the more recently banned cards. Like, yeah, Gamma was too good, definitely staying banned. Triumph and Together, surprised they banned it, but definitely staying banned. And then we have the 2 recent red leaders that just, you know, should probably stay banned forever, and hopefully more balanced reboots come out, because it does suck that with these leaders banned, their entire archetypes are more or less useless, but, you know, hopefully we'll have a fix for that in just a couple sets. But anyways, guys, those are my opinions. Like, yeah, I mean, these cards are banned for a reason. Not too much is able to come back. I did have some hot takes. Hopefully you guys are able to argue with me down in the comments. But yeah, what do you think about, like, bringing some power back to Gogeta Xeno? What do you think about fighting against Fate? Let me know what you guys think about this stuff in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.